24 of the game's most accomplished champions and emerging superstars joining together as the best of the best from the United States take on the top international players outside of Europe.
And right now, Steve Sands, who's a lead reporter for the Golf Channel over in the US that covers everything in the world of golf, has joined us to talk all about it. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing great, fellas. How are you? Looking forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. And I can tell you this, Steve, Royal Melbourne is looking magnificent. We've been in a massive drought down here. The last couple of years it's opened up a bit and we've got some rain. But Royal Melbourne's, the fairways have changed. They've gone to this stuff we call Legend Cooch down here. It is looking unbelievable. But the rock-hard greens is what we're hoping will do the US side in. How do you reckon they'll go with greens absolutely rock-hard and fast?
Well, I think they're used to seeing that here in the United States, especially when they go to the major championships like Augusta National for the Masters. The guys who tend to be the best players in the world have always seemed to be the ones who can handle the rock-hard, fast greens of the best golf courses in the world. And every single player I know is looking forward to coming down to Royal Melbourne because they say it's one of the great golf courses on earth, and they're really looking forward to getting the President's Cup started. It's going to be a lot of fun. But make them as hard and fast as you want. It's going to be perfectly fine with all 24 guys.
No, it will be. And, look, I'm not sure. Are you coming down, Steve?
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I leave on Thursday in the United States, which will land me in Melbourne on Saturday morning before the President's Cup. So I'll be there a couple of days early.
Oh, good. Well, if you're down a couple, you should actually let me know, and I'll see if I can get you on Kingston Heath. Maybe we'll go and have a hit because there are some absolute beauties down here. I understand you probably haven't seen Royal Melbourne. Apart from the rock-hard greens and how good a golf course it is, have you heard about the shot making and what's required at the golf course? Have you heard? Does the Royal Melbourne name carry much weight in the States?
It carries an enormous amount of weight, especially with the guys at that level. I wouldn't say that it carries a ton of weight with, the general fan because they've never really seen it before. The President's Cup was there in 1998, and the words that the players like Tiger Woods and Greg Norman and Fred Couples and Phil Mickelson, all these great players from all over the world, and Ernie Els on the international side, and all the guys on both sides, they rave about Royal Melbourne. They think it's phenomenal. And not just that, guys. What's going to be really cool for the American audience is to be able to see Melbourne. We only see it once a year with the Australian Open in tennis.
Yeah.
And we don't really see the city. But golf is a little bit of a different telecast than tennis is. And I think that the American audience is going to see just how phenomenal a city Melbourne is. Not just a great sports city, but just a great cosmopolitan city to go visit in. And Matt Kaminsky has been telling me for years that it's his favorite city he's ever been in the world, and we're very lucky to go all over the world. So not only am I looking forward to it, but I think the Americans are looking forward to seeing what it's all about.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's get moving on Tiger Woods. You can't do an interview down here without talking about Tiger Woods, Steve. The way he's playing, the 73 last week and then the 368s, but just that drive off the first hole on the second day, the big snap hook, you can tell it's just not quite there. What are they saying in America about the way he's playing and the way he looks?
Well, I would say this about Tiger Woods. As it pertains to last week, or say the last few times we've seen him play, the PGA Championship, the WGC Bridgestone Invitational, and then go all the way back to the Players in those 9 holes. But for the last 3 starts, I think it's been consistent how inconsistent he has been. And here's how I would describe it. Tiger can still hit 3 or 4 shots in one round that no one else in the field can hit. But in that same round, he hits 3 or 4 shots that no one else would hit. So it's a very difficult thing to watch him not be mediocre, but to watch him be so inconsistent. That duck hook off the first tee, his 10th hole on Friday, was atrocious. That is something a professional golfer just wouldn't do, and he knows that. But then he comes back and hits straight shots. So it's a bit of an up and down thing. I will say this about the President's Cup and Tiger Woods. He made 19 birdies last week.
Handy.
All right, and in a President's Cup format, with 4-ball and foursomes and then the singles and it being match play, So being able to put your foot down on the pedal, if you will, is a good thing in that format. So I think that he'll be okay in a format like that. Over 4 days the week before at the Australian Open, I'm not so sure about. But I think in a President's Cup format, I think he's going to be okay.
We know the Ryder Cup dominates in America. USA taking on Europe. It is one of the great weeks in sport. Not just golf, one of the great weeks in sport. The President's Cup is a newcomer. And I reckon last time in San Francisco, and certainly in Canada as well the year before, it just seems to be gathering momentum. Definitely down here in Australia, and obviously because it's at Royal Melbourne and it's the first time since 1998 that we've had the President's Cup. But it really is gaining momentum in our life down here. What about the President's Cup in America?
Well, I think that, I don't know what it's like down there, but I'm sure it's the same as it is here in the United States and all over the world, really. Sports is about tradition, and I think that builds over time. And I think that the Ryder Cup has always been a bigger biennial competition than the President's Cup, only because it's been going on longer. I think the President's Cup has become a very big event in golf. I think it's transcended a little bit into the sports world as well in the United States. And I think that over time, I think that people realize that if you put the 24 players together in the President's Cup versus the 24 players together in the Ryder Cup, the better players probably are in the President's Cup. I just think that there's not enough, if you will, there's not enough hatred yet. You need some good cold blood there. You need to have something really juicy happen, and I think that over time that'll happen. And I also think that when the international side wins again, I think that it'll become a much better competition. The Ryder Cup wasn't any good until GB and Great Britain and Ireland, allowed continental Europe in, and then they started winning. You have to have a nice rivalry back and forth. The United States, unfortunately for the President's Cup, has been dominating this team competition. But I think over time it'll become just as big as the Ryder Cup. And I also think that going to places like Royal Melbourne and going to places like Australia, which are so sports crazy, I just think it's going to be fantastic
great
for
point.
the event. And I also think that you guys need to win it.
Yeah, that's true.
If you guys win it, I think the competition will become much, much bigger.
Yeah, no doubt. And Steve, we're fairly confident about our chances down here, and we look forward to you getting down here and enjoying that Australia and all the golf courses in Melbourne have got to offer. We appreciate your time on the Clubhouse and continue the good work.
History will be made at Royal Melbourne. Don't miss your chance to be a part of it.